Hello, my name is Russ Fitzpatrick, and welcome to the National Lunch and Learn League for real estate agents across the country. We've taught over 80,000 realtors how to list more property using unique selling propositions and very concerted follow up, like we're going to show you today in the Every Buy Owner Lists training module. The first thing I like to do at the beginning is to define our core ideology, define the word efficiency, the quality of achieving the largest amount of useful work using as little energy, fuel, or effort as possible. Families and businesses need to take steps to maximize energy efficiency, streamlining cars, designing solar panels that hold the energy longer. Companies say it wants to work to improve conditions, increase efficiency, and generally make the factory more profitable. These are all examples of how other organizations deal with efficiency. But what about you? Have you ever taken the time to work on your business instead of in your business? Have you ever taken the time to set up a process that can be replicated over and over and over efficiently and completely free from any emotions? What if you could list for sale by owners without any emotions and with a tremendous amount of efficiency? You will see throughout this presentation quotes from this fearless leader, Eleanor Roosevelt. Her experience has been that work is almost always the best way to pull oneself out of the depths. And I will say that in residential real estate, the depths are 80% of realtors sell less than 6 houses a year. If you're one of the realtors that sell less than 12 houses a year, you need to start to think about the four-letter word called work and using efficient, replicatable processes to list for sale by owners. The one thing I want to share with you in theory today is that every buy owner starts out with strong conviction. There is so many ideas that they have, so many false concepts that they start with in their head that the for sale by owner, their judgment is tainted. It's their judgment is definitely tilted towards not paying a commission and saving their commission. But over time, what we find is that many buy owners start to feel a sense of anxiety or frustration in the busiest sellers market like we're in today. If they haven't sold their house in a couple weeks and they're wondering, did they price it too high? Did they price it too low? Did they do it? Their ideas are just starting to swirl around. People stood them up. They thought they had it sold because some guy said they were going to buy it for full price, but then they found out they couldn't get a mortgage. Better still, somebody came by and said they're going to buy it, but then they offered them 20% less because they were for sale by owner. And then they got frustrated because the offer came in so less. And eventually, as you see this, the buy owner philosophy is tilted way to the right. And then eventually it starts to balance out. And then later it just tilts. It just tips. The theory behind efficiently working for sale by owners with free from any emotions is to believe that every buy owner lists eventually, and that you don't have to convince them to list. You just have to be there when they list. And I'm going to show you, after 37 years of experience, exactly what I mean. This grid that you're looking at right now is omnipotent. It is crucial for realtors to understand multiple sources of listing inventory. On the right hand side of the clock at about 1 o'clock, you've got to have a farm area, a subdivision that you specialize in, that you can take 3 to 4 listings a year out of that farm area. And this is a crucial, underwhelming statement. I would rather have 6 sources of business that I do 4 listings a year in each, because that's 24 listings, rather than having one source of business that I do 10 listings in, right? So I'd rather take 4 listings from my farm, 4 listings from my sphere of influence. I like to work absentee owners, Airbnb owners, multifamily owners, rental property owners to take 4 listings a year. I specialize in Hero Benefits Network. We run a nonprofit called Hero Benefits Network for first responders, VIP relationships with deep discounts and incentives. So maybe I take 4 listings from that. Go over to the expireds, one of the biggest pains in the neck in the residential real estate business, an expired listing. But go ahead and take 3 or 4 of those listings. Go back to last year's expireds, the seasoned expireds that had taken their house off the market last year. And that, there's another 3 or 4 listings this year from that. And then my list pendants notifications, anybody who's got a notification of foreclosure and I can help them uh, suspend their foreclosure or even go into the courthouse, which I've done on hundreds of occasions, and just apply for an extension. And you'd be shocked at how liberal the courthouse is with granting an extension to a foreclosure property, as long as that property lists their house with a realtor and wants to take action to solve the problem. So you right now on your screen, 2, 4, 6, 8, you know, listing opportunities that could conceivably produce 4 listings per year per source for an incredible run in 2023, 24, and beyond. The top of the clock where midnight strikes is by owners. And I put it there because they are a very difficult sector of our business. I will tell you, if you're not a strong willed, callous, firm salesperson that can separate your emotions from your goals, you're going to suffer with buy owners and expireds. Buy owners and expireds are by far the most difficult clients to convert, but the most rewarding for me, and certainly keeps my saw sharp for all of the other sources. In other words, if you can overcome objections from buy owners and expireds, you're going to have a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, time in absentee owners' sphere of influence in your farm. So let's talk about this system and how long I've been using it. It's about $80 to work 10 for sale by owners. That's how much we invest. We invest about $8 in the total marketing costs for a for sale by owner, and we consider 8 Ebols to be a function. I'm sorry, 10 Ebols to be a function of $80 investment. Typically, we're going to get 2 listing appointments out of 10 for sale by owners and take 1 listing. So the investment is $80, but the return is $8,500. There's more than 1,000% return on your investment. And this is where the rubber meets the road with taking the emotions out of this. The highest paid agents in the industry share a common philosophy in prospecting for sale by owners. And the philosophy is very much like Mick Jagger singing Time Is On My Side. They all list eventually. And our mentality, our mindset needs to be that their system doesn't work. You can never allow the consumer to sell the salesperson. The salesperson has to be able to sell the consumer. Buy owners always think that they're going to save money, but in the end, they realize that a good agent is the only way to get top dollar. A good agent increases demand through a comprehensive marketing system. Higher demand increases prices and sellers' net proceeds. Even in the best sellers market, 50% of all for sale by owners list within 30 days. In a competitive market, that number jumps to 70%. If you want to be compensated 250 grand a year or more, you've got to you got to get over all the emotions. You've got to disconnect from the emotional ties that you have to prospecting and just start to say, some will, some won't, so what? And I will get 2 out of every 10 to give me a listing appointment, and I'm going to get 1 of those 2 listing appointments to list with me every month, and that's 1 listing a month. And I would almost down that a little bit and say, what if it's just 1 listing a quarter? What if you could suspend your disbelief for a few minutes with your new buddy Russ, and you said, hey, I can list 1 a quarter. If I could take 1 listing a quarter, make 10 grand, that adds $40,000 in gross commission to my proceeds, and I can use those other sources of business that Russ showed me with absentee owners and farm area and expired listings and sphere of influence and follow up on those in a different way to get even more listings in 2023 and beyond. See, what I believe is that a consistent follow-up system removes your emotions. It's just like a monopoly board. You're just going around the monopoly board. You're not judging each space on the monopoly board. You're just, you know, just doing the work and act like you're a bricklayer almost. Just I got to do follow up on these 10 for sale by owners. and don't analyze the results every week. That's what creates the negative emotions. Until you've done 100 new contacts, until you've done 10 sheets of 10 and followed through on all of them, don't judge it. Just wait. You'll see. You'll go on 2 listing appointments for every 10. You'll list one of every 10, and you'll be making more money than you ever did in your life. Find the for sale by owner prospects is step one. I still think Craigslist is a great place to find for sale by owners. Local print newspapers, Zillow does list for sale by owners now, unfortunately, and it's going to be the bane of the real estate existence. I wish that we would stop giving Zillow our data, but Vulcan subscriptions. I used to pay my dad and my sister to get me by owners when they drove through neighborhoods if they saw a for sale by owner sign. A lot of websites associated with for sale by owner listings. A lot of for sale by owners will host open houses or be posted on a billboard or a bulletin board in a condo. Like you go in to get on the elevator and there's like a little sticky note on the cork board there. Used to be a buy owner magazine, buyowner.com. Subscriptions like RedX and LandVoice. I was always a subscriber to RedX, so they gave me all my buy owners in a report every day. Make an initial contact. Now, the difference between prospecting with the intent to list and prospecting with the intent to serve is vital for sale by owners. Rather than picking up the phone and saying, you know, you're going to try to get their listing, why don't you just pick up the phone and see if there's anything you could do to help them? How much are you asking for your home? Where are you moving to? When are you hoping to make your move? Tell me a little bit about your house. Open ended, thoughtful questions are friendly and light. And say, I realize you're trying to save, the commission, and I want to support you. How long do you think you'll give it before you put your home on the market with a realtor? If the numbers made sense, would you consider working with a good agent? The reason that these questions are there is not because I'm expecting a yes, rather, I am expecting a no. I'm expecting a hard no from my buy owners when I call them. But the reason I call them and the reason I have a chat with them is to find out how ferocious their no is, how aggressive their no is, how open minded they are to conversation. And the great surprise is about every dozen or so for sale owners I talk to, they go, you know what, I don't know what we were thinking. We were just put a sign up to see what would happen, but you seem like a nice guy. Come on over and we'll talk. And it's like a lay down, an absolute lay down. Now they're few and far between, but when you get those lay downs, it's like, hey, I'm glad you called me. I'd like to talk to you more. Would it be okay if I stop by to show you what I can do for you? Is there any chance I could do some mathematics with you? I always use the word math when I'm with a buy owner. I always say, well, maybe we could do some math. Let's do some math and see what it would look like. If I do the math and you like the math, we'll do something. If you don't like the math, we won't do it. I just really like to see the house and talk to you for a few minutes. I can leave you a proposal, and I'll just leave it with you. And whenever you're ready, I don't care if you list 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, or 2 years from now. We'll get it. We'll get it sold for you. Eleanor Roosevelt says, we gain strength and courage and confidence by each experience in which we really stop to look fear in the face. We must do that which we think we cannot. And for a lot of realtors, that is true about for sale by owners. That initial conversation is what keeps the realtors from moving forward. I want to just say this one more thing about the initial contact. I do not expect to get a listing appointment on the first call. I do not expect to list a house the first call. Sometimes I do, but I do not expect it. And if you expect it, you're going to be disappointed 90% of the time. So in order to remove the emotions, consider this initial contact one step of many steps that you have to build rapport and create a relationship with this family. Prepare and personalize your follow-up materials at once. Your assignment for this week is to take our templates off of AnnieMacWorks.com, go to class materials, Ebol, and upload to your desktop or your laptop the Ebol follow-up grid. Schedule your Ebol follow-up time in a time block. So what I like to do, 10 a.m. Fridays and 10 a.m. Mondays, I always work on Ebol for an hour. So I got a couple hours a week, not a big amount of time, but I want to do what's called time blocking. I want to say to myself, I want to say to my spouse, I want to say to my kids, at 10 a.m. Mondays and Fridays, Daddy has to work on Ebol. And if you'll go out and get me some of those red and white signs in the neighborhood, bring them to me. I'll work on Ebol on Mondays and Fridays from 10 and Friday at 10. Schedule your Ebol new contact time 1 or 2 times a week. I will tell you, this is nothing about residential real estate comes down to luck or even talent, I think. It's more, some people believe it's this gift to gab or this charisma. It's not. It's consistent follow up. Here's some effective tricks to completing your Ebol follow-ups. I pay an assistant $12 an hour, $15 an hour to do it. Tell as many people, tell your wife, tell your kids, tell your broker that you're going to list one for sale by owner per month because you're setting aside, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week to just work on for sale by owners. Make sure you schedule an exact time and date that you're going to do your time blocking, and use technology like Microsoft Outlook or a Franklin Covey uh, day timer, or use your Google Docs or your Google Calendar to get ahead of yourself and make sure that you hold yourself accountable to 1 hour or maybe an hour and a half twice a week. My experience has been that work is almost the best way to pull oneself out of the depths. And if you don't have a lot of listings, it's probably because you're not doing the work. When life is too easy for us, we must beware, or we may not be ready to meet the blows which sooner or later come to everyone, rich or poor. The letter that goes out first, after you first met with the client, says, "We will help you in every way possible, whether you succeed on your own or hire a professional." We offer a for sale by owner assistance program. We have hundreds of home sellers trust our team every year with their most valuable asset. Help me help you. It's a very light offer called for sale by owner assistance, and we make that offer right after we got off the phone with them. They're going to get that letter in the mail within 24, 48 hours of our first call. It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. I believe that. And if you plan out your for sale by owner follow up, you've got an email that's going to go out to the consumer that thanks them for taking some time to talk to you about their property and gives them a couple of ideas about digital marketing and worldwide uh, audiences that are moving into their area right now. For our digital marketing strategy, we use a program called List Hub, and we're able to demonstrate all of the international digital marketing strategies available to us through List Hub, paid for by our lending partners. So you've got an opportunity to teach them about the worldwide mobilizing the worldwide real estate community, mobilizing the domestic migration, and realizing that that buyer from Philadelphia that's moving down here, that buyer from Toronto, that buyer from New York, that buyer from New Jersey, that buyer from Florida that's coming halfway back up here to North Carolina, they're not going to be driving the streets, going through every nook and cranny of every subdivision to find your little red and white sign. They're going to be online, digging around, looking for properties with realtors. We're going to want you to get comfortable with handwritten notes. In a specific sequence, your follow up comes down to emails, direct mail, including handwritten notes. And there's one drop off here in just a moment that I'm going to share with you. But getting a handwritten note in 2023 is a delight. And it says, "It was a pleasure speaking with you about your Jacaranda home. As promised, I'll get working on some information that will be helpful during your upcoming move to Coral Springs." You knew because on the phone they said they were thinking about moving to Coral Springs. So since you get more joy out of giving joy to others, you should put a good deal of thought into happiness that you're able to give. And that's what I think about for sale owners. It's always be serving, always be serving. An old movie, Glenn Ross, they used to say ABC, always be closing. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's always be serving. One of the ways you could serve a for sale by owner during the follow up process is refer them to a mortgage partner, refer them to a title partner. Really start to shift the focus of your relationship with them to the properties that they're shopping for, and realize that there's subliminal teaching going on. When you're handing them a Remax listing, when you're handing them a Century 21 listing, when you're handing them a Caldwell Banker listing, when you're handing them a residential real estate listing from another broker, you're reinforcing the fact that they're shopping realtor properties. So is everybody else. You know, all of the above in their destination zip code. So if somebody's moving to Keokuk, Iowa, I'm going to go on realtor.com and pull up properties in Keokuk, Iowa. I'm going to find a mortgage partner in Keokuk, Iowa, a title partner. I'm going to let them know that I did a little bit of research for them so that they were able to acclimate to their new homestead. If there's a chamber of commerce in that new local area, if there's a sort of a welcoming website about the community, I want to find all those for that person because I want to be an advocate for realtor assisted purchase in their new community. And that new realtor assisted purchase in their new community is going to help validate and confirm that the realtors do have all the buyers, especially when it comes to domestic migration and supply and demand for their house. A couple days later, they're going to get a letter from you that says 3 things that you need no matter who sells your home: disclosure, sales contract, and abstracted title. And the letter goes on to talk about the needs to do seller's disclosures. The buyer, don't let the buyer choose your contract, and you'll almost always need to provide an abstract of title. So this just confuses the seller more. Like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what a disclosure is. I don't know what sales contract to use. I assume the buyer's going to give me a sales contract when they want to buy my house. Whoa, you mean you're going to let the buyer draft a contract and you're going to just let them submit it to you and then you're going to accept the terms on that contract, where your realtor has a contract that is proven to protect your interests as much as the buyer's interest? There's no loopholes built into it. There's no contingencies that are written in small print. Our contracts are going to be mutually beneficial to tie the transaction together and move it toward closing. So the reason I use Eleanor Roosevelt on so many of these uh, quotes for sale by owners because she governed and assisted um, her husband in governing during a very, very difficult time in the American economy. And she was an advocate for hard work and determination. And she also didn't like people that talked about other people. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. I think if you could just get away from saying buyers are liars and sellers are worse, get away from saying that buy owners are difficult, get away from saying that buy owners are overpriced and be negative. Just remove all of your emotions and send out this email that says, let's sell your home for top dollar. I'm excited to work together to sell your Jacaranda home for the highest possible price. There's plenty of evidence coming at this seller over the next couple of weeks, the last couple of weeks, that helps the seller understand that you can justify a reasonable commission. You can generate a tangible return on the investment of your commission. You can sell your house faster and you can sell your house for a higher price. So these are follow up emails, letters, direct messages on social media that keep you top of mind with the seller. And if you've been in touch with the seller for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're still being friendly and you send them another handwritten note that says, thanks for the info on your Jacaranda house, I can sell your home for the highest price if you can close by August, April, whatever, a couple months from now. This is the way that you're sort of being present when they tip. And remember the scale that I showed you at the beginning. There's this tipping point in every buy owner where they just kind of throw in the towel. You want to be present for that. You don't want to be combative and argumentative and make strong, points. Rather, you want to just be in service to them and tell them that you make your living selling houses. You feed your 3 kids selling houses. You've been doing this for a long time. You successfully sell houses for hundreds of people. You're here for them whenever they want you to help them. Freedom makes a huge requirement of every human being. And the residential real estate business is a lot of freedom. But with freedom comes great responsibility. For the person who is unwilling to grow up, the person who does not want to carry his own weight, this is a frightening prospect. And that's why being a self-employed entrepreneur that happens to be a realtor, it comes with a lot of freedom, but that freedom has a tremendous amount of responsibility. If you're going to look your kids in the eye at Christmas and tell them why there's no presents under the tree, that's because you didn't take the time to follow up on 10 for sale by owners a month to get you one good listing a month or even one good listing a quarter. There's a third letter that says you are fishing with a hook and we are fishing with a cast net. And it is a letter that's uh, a little bit more firm, a little bit more specific, and it comes towards the end of the follow up sequence. It's the third hand addressed letter that we're going to send, but it's one of 10 or 12 touches that have been made during the last 3 weeks. And in all our context is probably the sense of being really needed and wanted, which gives us the greatest satisfaction and creates the most lasting bond. That may sound corny to some of you, but I promise you, the more you serve, the more you give to the for sale by owner, the more you're consistently demonstrating your ability to help the for sale by owner, the more likely it is that you'll be the one there when they finally tip. And you might be in touch with them right when they do. But not taking no for the first answer is a characteristic, and not expecting a yes. So, one of the last things we do with for sale by owners is we want to drop off a copy of our residential real estate contract. We highlight some of the imminent clauses, the important clauses in that contract, and we say, hey, I took the liberty to prepare a real estate contract for you in case you find a qualified buyer who's ready, willing, and able. My company uses list reports, so I put together a property brochure for you as well. It's free from charge. This is my title partner locally if you need any help with title, and this is my mortgage partner, and she can qualify all of your buyers for you and make sure you don't take the house off the market. By the way, did I tell you I have a for sale by owner assistance program where we can work directly with you to help you sell this house and drastically reduce the commission to help you? And they say, no, well, I'd like to come over and go over it. What is it? What is it? No, I'd really like to come over and sit down with the two of you and show you the for sale by owner assistance program. It only takes about 15 minutes. And I could drop it by and then you could leave. But I'd like your husband to be here when I come by so I could share it with you. But when you drop something off like a contract and you tell them why you're dropping it off, or a property brochure to help them, or a title company reference, or a mortgage company reference, it makes them understand that you're in it for the long haul. You're here to support them, whether they sell it on their own or they turn to a professional to sell it. And I love this quote for this last specific drop off: have conviction, but be friendly. Stick to your beliefs as they stick to theirs. Work as hard as they do. What I want you to think about is everybody wants a hardworking, honest, person. And you're raising a family, you're doing your best, you're full time, you're not being disrespectful, but you have conviction. And conviction means, listen, I've been doing this long enough to know that, everybody on our lists. You think it's going to look easy. It's not as easy as you think. And if you use my for sale by owner assistance program, you get the best of both worlds. You can try to sell it on your own, and you can hire me to sell it for you. I'll show you how for sale by owner assistance works. If we can get together, I'll show it to you. So plenty of opportunity to list for sale by owners using this system. All of the documentation is at anniemacworks.com. And remember, happiness is not a goal. It is a byproduct, and it's a byproduct of achievement. And when you assert yourself for a month on 10 for sale by owners, and you're able to take one listing a month or even just one listing a quarter, you're augmenting your gross commission income, but what you're also doing is you're filling your pipeline with buyers. Because if you take a listing in 2023, you're going to have more buyers than you know what to do with. So please take the time to work on for sale by owners and take action every week with 8 to 10 for sale by owner prospects. So your assignment for this week: go out and find some for sale by owners. Download the equipment off of AndyMacWorks.com during class materials, and reach out to us if you need any help following up on for sale by owners. Thank you very much.